Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's LT, and today we are taking UglyTruck drag racing. That's my 2000 Silverado. It's got an 8.1 under the hood. It's turbocharged, and on 7 pounds of boost, it makes 480 horsepower and 620 pounds of torque. We've turned it up since then. Right now, currently, I am running on 10 pounds. We have gone up to 13 before, and we might turn it up a little bit later on. I also advanced the timing to 15 degrees. I haven't talked about that yet. I might do that in this video. I might do it in a future video, but we're running more timing and we're running more boost than we have when we baselined it. On paper, I'm guessing it makes somewhere around 550 horsepower now, but hard to say because we haven't put it back on the dyno since we've run more boost and more timing. But I am running race gas today, so I should have no problems with knocking or detonation, and I am going to be doing some data logs to kind of see if I can figure out that knock issue that I was having a little while back, trying to figure out if it's actually knock or if the knock sensors were just reporting some unusual noise that might actually not be knock. Anyhow, the closest drag strip that we're going to today that's actually open for this weekend is in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That's Sage Raceway, and it is a 1/8 mile track. I wish we could run a full quarter, but the closest quarter-mile tracks, there's two of them kind of equidistant away. One of them is in Las Vegas. That's about a 5.5-hour drive from the house. The other one is in Boise, which is also about a 5 to 5.5-hour drive away from the house. So we're going to Idaho Falls. It is an 1/8 mile, but most of the drag racing I've done in my career has actually been on an 1/8 mile track, so it'll be a good comparison. Now, I do have a goal, just kind of a benchmark, one of my personal bests from a vehicle that I've built. That's 819 at 85 miles an hour in the 1/8 mile. And the vehicle that we did that in was an orange single cab short box 2500 HD Duramax. It was an LB7, and to run 819 at 85 miles an hour, it made 550 horsepower and 960 pounds of torque, although that truck was quite a bit heavier than UglyTruck. I'm thinking this one weighs somewhere around 5,500 pounds, and I think they make similar horsepower with a lighter truck. I think, and I hope, this one will be able to go a little bit quicker. That's just my personal benchmark, and I kind of wanted to beat it. This will be the first time we've had UglyTruck on a drag strip, so I'm really excited, kind of curious to see how well it's going to do. So, let's go racing. Alright guys, first run in the bag, 889 at 84 miles an hour. Not too bad. I didn't really try to boost it too badly off the line. You know, just first race jitters and all that. So far, not bad. I like the mile per hour. I wish the ET were a little bit lower, but we'll work with what we've got. I did check the log on that. It was still pulling a little bit of timing, even though I have about, I'm not entirely sure on the makeup because I just kind of guessed it when I dumped in the race gas, but we should have about 95 octane, so there really should be no way that I'm knocking with this timing and with this much boost pressure. So I'm flashing in another tune that has a little bit less sensitivity on the knock sensors, so we'll give it another pass and see what happens. All right, so there was a bit of an oil down on the track, so we're waiting for that to get cleaned up. We've done 3 runs in total so far. Let me just get you caught up to speed real quick. Run number 1, just off the trailer, we did 889 at 84.2 miles an hour. The second run, the only thing I changed was flashing in a different tune that had a little bit less sensitivity on the knock sensor. So instead of pulling, say, 4 degrees of timing, it only pulled about 2 degrees. And remember, I've got some really high octane gas in here, so I don't think that is actually knocking. It's just knock sensors are picking up noise, and I do have an exhaust leak, so it probably maybe has something to do with that. Anyway, at run number 2, we got a little bit faster by 0.2 of a mile an hour, so pretty much nothing. But then we slowed down the ET to 894, but pretty much almost the same. The third run, I added about another 2.5 turns on the boost controller to bring it up to that 13 psi that we've been running on the street every now and then. So 15 degrees of timing, 13 pounds of boost. That led to a 876, so we got quicker at 87.2 miles an hour, and we got faster. So the truck seems to be running good, and we'll just make a few more runs as soon as they get things cleaned back up. Alrighty, so test and tune is over. That ran till 7:30. They're now about to start a gambler's race, which I'm not going to do. I got 6 solid runs in for test and tune, which is good. The truck is still in one piece, and we are leaning on this 8.1 fairly hard, so I'm happy with how everything has turned out so far. I told you guys the first 3 runs already. Run number 4, I tried something a little different on the launch, which definitely did not work. The first 3, I had been foot braking it, and then I would just kind of, press as much gas as I could until it would barely start to spin the rear tires, and then whenever the light turned green, off the brake, and off you go. So on the, 4th run, what I decided to try was just stomping it from 0 throttle whenever the light turned green, and that did not work at all. It took the turbo a little bit longer to spool up than I would like. The 60 foots are pretty much where you get all your ET from. And on the 4th run where I just stomped it, it was pretty horrible. It was actually, I think, my slowest run of the day. It was a, 901 at 86 miles an hour. So I had a good mile per hour, but the ET was awful. And I think that was due to the 60 foot of 2.318 seconds. So on the 5th run, that was actually my best. I'll get to that in a second. We were trying the 2-step. On the 6th run, I messed that one up too pretty good because I have my 2-step on a switch that's separate from the brake pedal, which the reason I did that is for like roll racing and stuff. But on the 6th run, my very last one, like an idiot, I forgot to switch the 2-step off for about half to 3/4 of a second. So that one kind of sucked. It had a good mile per hour, spun a tiny bit, but my best run was number 5, and I'll kind of show you guys the time slip here. That one we did a 867 at 88 miles an hour. So I had 2 goals at the beginning of this. I think I wanted to run an 819 at 85. so we were slower. We did not run an 819, but we got a little bit more mile per hour. So the reason why I think the orange truck did such a much better ET is because it was four-wheel drive and we could do boosted launch, and that thing would just rip itself out of the hole. Where this truck, it's got a turbo that's honestly probably a couple sizes too big, and it's so lazy the first third of the track. So anyway, not a huge deal. I'm happy with how we did. 88 miles an hour. We actually got some real numbers now from the UglyTruck, so we know what it runs and we have a baseline so we can make some improvements. So it's the next day and we're at home editing the video, and I just wanted to go over data log number 5 with you guys, just to kind of illustrate how we can make UglyTruck a lot quicker and faster without necessarily adding a whole lot more horsepower. Now, when it comes to drag racing, your best times are going to be made up on the first half of the track, and it's just getting that truck launched and getting things off to a good start. An UglyTruck does not like to get moving in a hurry. The back half of the track, it feels great, it pulls really strong, but the first half, it just feels like there's not a whole lot going on. And the data log shows exactly that. So let's dive into it and I'll kind of show you what's going on. Now, my launch from my best run had a 2.19 second 60 foot. So basically 2.2 seconds to move the first 60 feet of the track. And that's 25% of my total run being 8.8 seconds or so. If you look at the log here, this yellow line up top, this is throttle position. And as you can see, it kind of jumps up sharply right about here. That's when the light turns green. That's where I put my foot down and things start to happen. Now, that's 30% throttle and 1700 RPM. So we're leaving, like I said, 1700 RPM, which is not very high. I'd like to raise that threshold a little bit further, but if I just hold my foot on the brake as hard as I can, 1700 RPM and 30% throttle is as much as I can give it before the back wheels start to spin. Now, at that same exact point, if you look at the boost that we're achieving, it's not even boost, we're actually still in vacuum. We're only making 70 kPa, that's this purple line right here. So we're leaving in the vacuum range. That's way under power, less power than we could be making. So the trick is we've got to, number one, find a way to leave under full boost or even a little bit of boost rather than leaving in vacuum. And to do that, I really need some way to kind of hold the vehicle in place and apply full power. And really the accepted solution for that is installing a trans brake. That way it'll lock, I think it's either first and reverse or first and third, or basically there's 2 gears in the transmission that you're engaging at the same time, so you can apply full power and the vehicle's not going anywhere, and that'll allow you to build up some boost. Now, I do have a 2-step rev limiter, which kind of helps. But once again, because I have no way to hold the vehicle back, the 2-step is really kind of pointless at this point in time. Now, it does help great when I'm roll racing because I can hold it at 3,800 RPM and unleash like 3 or 4 pounds of boost at launch, but from a dead stop, you really need to have a trans brake. Now, the second thing I want to look at is how slow this S480 is to spool up with the tune-up that I have and with my engine and things like that. Remember, maximum of 13 PSI of boost, and on this particular application, it's somewhere around 160 to 165 kPa. And I think the lower kPa is due to the fact that we're at like 47 to 4,800 feet of elevation. But anyway, this purple trace right here, this is kPa. And if you watch it, pay attention to the timestamp down here. It is 7:13 and 22 seconds when the run starts. Now the purple line, it slowly climbs through first gear. And right as we start to make the shift from first to second gear, that's this little bump right here, then we finally start to reach 160 kPa or about full boost. And that timestamp is 7:13 and 27. So basically we're about 4 seconds of lag to go from manifold vacuum to full boost. And that 4 seconds, that's half of my entire run. Now, if I could start the run with a trans brake at say 1 to 2 pounds of boost, I feel like we could bring in total boost a lot quicker and get that 60-foot weight down and get the truck a whole lot quicker as it goes down the track. Now, the struggle at that point, if I can actually get it to leave the line with some boost, is going to be traction, because the tires I have right now, they were kind of right on the verge of spinning as I rolled out. A lot of times when full boost did ramp in at the top of the RPM range, which happened at, for mile per hour, it was somewhere around 47 miles an hour. It actually would break traction a couple times. So along with the trans brake, I'll probably have to install some sort of like cheater slick or like a drag radial or something like that, just to grip the track surface a little bit better. So I believe if I do those two things, install a better tire and have a trans brake, I can keep my same torque converter and I can get the truck to do a much better 60 foot and do a whole lot quicker. I feel like if I change those two things, I might be able to get into a high 7, like a 799 at maybe a little bit over 90 miles an hour just by bringing in the power quicker. Because remember, we're wasting 4 seconds spooling that turbo, and that's really the takeaway that I learned from my very first test and tune with the UglyTruck. So I do want to say thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Do me a favor though, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're definitely going to be making more changes to the UglyTruck. We have our built motor in the works, and we're going to put down eventually, someday, probably next year, 1,000 horsepower. But I still want to make it quicker with the horsepower level that I have. I do need to get it back on the dyno at some point to see exactly how much horsepower it does make at 13 pounds of boost. So subscribe to the channel, click the like button, drop a comment down below to let me know what you think, or maybe some other areas where I could make improvements. And thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll catch you next time in another couple of days.